Imagine a world where the greatest athletes on the planet are locked out of their own gyms, and the only triple-double anyone is talking about is a 3-hour legal deposition. For 161 days in 2011, the NBA wasn't a league of highlights and dunks. It was a cold, quiet battlefield of billionaires versus millionaires. Fans watched in horror as the entire month of November was erased, and rumors swirled that the entire season would be scrapped, just like the 1994 MLB strike. But then, a miracle. A deal was struck on Thanksgiving, paving the way for a chaotic 66-game sprint that would change the league's history forever. This wasn't just a season. It was a high-speed collision of legacies, and it all started with a veto that still haunts the city of Los Angeles. The Lockout. The 2011 Lockout was a grueling 161-day work stoppage that nearly cost the fans an entire year of basketball. Owners were determined to fix what they called a broken system, claiming that 22 out of 30 teams were losing money under the previous agreement. The players, led by Derek Fisher and Billy Hunter, fought to keep their share of basketball-related income, but eventually saw it drop from 57% to roughly 51%. This labor war forced the cancellation of the first 16 games of the season and essentially deleted the preseason. When the doors finally opened on Christmas Day, the atmosphere was a mix of relief and intense pressure to perform in a shortened window, the sprint. Because the season was condensed into just 66 games, starting late in December, the schedule became a physical nightmare for the athletes. Teams were forced to play back-to-back-to-backs, meaning 3 games in 3 nights, a feat rarely seen in modern professional sports. This relentless pace favored younger, deeper teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder, while putting immense strain on veteran squads like the Celtics and Lakers. Coaches were forced to manage minutes like never before, essentially punting certain games just to ensure their stars didn't collapse from exhaustion. The lack of practice time meant that chemistry had to be built on the fly, leading to some of the sloppiest yet most exciting regular season basketball in history. Basketball reasons. Just as the league was preparing to return, Commissioner David Stern dropped a bombshell by vetoing a trade that would have sent Chris Paul to the Los Angeles Lakers. Acting as the temporary owner of the New Orleans Hornets, which the league had purchased to keep the franchise afloat, Stern claimed the deal was rejected for basketball reasons. This decision prevented a pairing of Kobe Bryant and Chris Paul in their primes, a duo many believe would have dominated the decade. Rival owners, led by Dan Gilbert, had reportedly pressured Stern to kill the deal, fearing the Lakers were becoming too powerful after the lockout's goal was to increase parity. The fallout left Lakers fans livid and sent the franchise into a spiral of what-ifs that arguably still lingers today. The rise of Lob City. After the Lakers deal fell through, Chris Paul was eventually traded to the other LA team, the Los Angeles Clippers. Suddenly, the JV team of LA became the most exciting ticket in town, featuring the high-flying duo of Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, with Paul orchestrating the offense. The Clippers transformed into Lob City, a highlight machine that specialized in gravity-defying dunks. This trade didn't just give the Clippers a superstar, it fundamentally shifted the culture of a franchise that had been a league laughingstock for decades. For the first time in history, there was a legitimate debate about who owned the Staples Center. Linsanity. In February 2012, Jeremy Lin went from sleeping on a teammate's couch to becoming the most famous person on the planet in a matter of days. With the New York Knicks missing star Carmelo Anthony and Amari Stoudemire, Lin was given a chance by Mike D'Antoni and responded by scoring more points in his first 5 starts than any player since the NBA-ABA merger. He dropped 38 points on Kobe Bryant's Lakers and hit a legendary game-winning three-pointer in Toronto. that sent the entire basketball world into frenzy. For 3 weeks, Linsanity transcended sports, becoming a global cultural phenomenon that resonated deeply with the Asian American community. Though the magic eventually faded due to injury, those few weeks remain the most improbable stretch of basketball ever played. LeBron's individual dominance. While Jeremy Lin was the story of the month, LeBron James was the story of the year, playing at a level of efficiency that defied logic. Coming off of the devastating 2011 finals loss, LeBron returned with a refined post-game and a terrifying defensive intensity. He averaged 27.1 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 6.2 assists, while shooting a career-high 53% from the field. This was the year LeBron truly became the point power forward, a hybrid monster that no team in the league had an answer for. His dominance earned him his 3rd MVP trophy, but the individual hardware was secondary to the massive chip on his shoulder, the scoring duel. The battle for the scoring title was a heavyweight fight between Kevin Durant and Kobe Bryant that came down to the final days of the season. Durant, the young assassin in Oklahoma City, was seeking his 3rd consecutive title, utilizing his 7-foot frame and guard skills to torch the league. Kobe, despite his aging knees and heavy lockout schedule, refused to go quietly, putting up massive numbers to keep the Lakers competitive. In the end, Durant edged out Kobe by a mere 0.1 points per game, finishing with an average of 28 points. This duel signaled a changing of the guard, as the 23-year-old Durant proved he was ready to inherit the throne of the league's most lethal scorer. The hated Heat. The Miami Heat remained the villains of the NBA, drawing sellout crowds in every city purely so fans could boo them. Every loss was treated like a championship for the rest of the world, and every LeBron mistake was dissected on 24-hour sports cycles. The big three of LeBron, Wade, and Bosh had to develop a us-against-the-world mentality just to survive the psychological toll of the season. They weren't just playing against the 29 other teams. They were playing against the narrative that they were the team that ruined basketball. This pressure cooker environment forced the Heat to either break or become indestructible by the time the playoffs arrived. The fall of Derrick Rose. On April 28, 2012, the trajectory of the NBA changed in a single awkward landing during a first-round playoff game. With the Chicago Bulls leading by 12 points and only 1 minute and 22 seconds remaining, the reigning MVP Derrick Rose tore his ACL. The United Center went silent as Rose was helped off the floor, a scene that many Bulls fans still can't watch without wincing. This injury didn't just end the Bulls' season, it arguably ended the Rose era of basketball, as he was never quite the same explosive force again. Chicago went from being the #1 seed and a championship favorite to a team in mourning overnight. The Spurs' last stand that wasn't. While everyone was focused on the young stars, the San Antonio Spurs quietly put together the best winning percentage in the league. People had been calling Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker too old for 3 years, but they responded by winning 50 out of 66 games. Greg Popovich won Coach of the Year by evolving the Spurs from a defensive, grinded-out team to a high-octane offensive machine. They went on a 20-game winning streak that spanned the end of the regular season and the start of the playoffs. Looking like the smartest team in the room, they proved that boring basketball was actually just perfect basketball, setting the stage for their future dominance. The Dwightmare. The Orlando Magic's season was swallowed whole by the Dwightmare, a toxic cycle of trade rumors involving superstar center Dwight Howard. Howard would demand a trade to Brooklyn, then rescind it, then opt in for another year, all while his relationship with coach Stan Van Gundy disintegrated. In one of the most awkward moments in TV history, Van Gundy told reporters Dwight wanted him fired, only for Dwight to walk up and hug him seconds later. The drama eventually ended, with Howard undergoing back surgery and the Magic being eliminated in the first round. It was a masterclass in how a superstar's indecision can derail an entire franchise. The process begins. In Philadelphia, the 76ers were a team of gritty role players without a true superstar, but they were about to make history. Led by Andre Iguodala and Lou Williams, they capitalized on the Derrick Rose injury to become just the 5th 8 seed to defeat a #1 seed in the playoffs. This series was a testament to the next man up philosophy, as the Sixers' depth and defensive ability stifled a shell-shocked Bulls team. While it was a moment of triumph, it also sowed the seeds for the process, as the front office realized they needed a superstar to go any further. For 1 week, though, Philly was the center of the basketball universe. Game 6 LeBron. Facing elimination in Boston, LeBron James delivered a performance that silenced every critic he had ever had. He finished with 45 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists, but it was the look in his eyes that became legendary. The focused, cold stare of a man who refused to lose. He scored 30 points in the first half alone, hitting fadeaways and contested jumpers as if the rim was 10 feet wide. This game broke the spirit of the aging Celtics Big Three and finally exorcised the demons of LeBron's past failures in Boston. It was the night the king truly took his crown, regardless of whether he had the ring yet or not. The young guns of OKC. In the West, the Oklahoma City Thunder were a terrifying vision of the future, led by 3 future MVPs, Durant, Westbrook, and Harden. They tore through the Western Conference, defeating the last 3 champions, the Mavericks, Lakers, and Spurs, in consecutive rounds. Their athleticism was overwhelming, and their chemistry seemed unbreakable as they reached the finals at the ages of 23 and 22. It felt like the start of a decade-long dynasty that would dominate the league for years to come. Fans were witnessing the birth of a powerhouse, unaware of how quickly it would all be dismantled. The finals matchup. The 2012 finals was the perfect script. The Miami Heat's veteran stars against the Thunder's youthful energy. OKC took game 1, and for a moment it looked like the Heatles were going to fail again on the biggest stage. But Miami adjusted, leaning into small ball with Chris Bosh at center and LeBron playing the point 4 role. The games were incredibly close, decided by veteran poise and a few key whistles that went Miami's way. It was a high-level chess match between 2 teams that represented 2 different philosophies of team building. The role players' revenge. While the stars got the headlines, the finals were won by Miami's role players, specifically Shane Battier and Mike Miller. Battier hit crucial threes throughout the series to keep the floor space, while Mike Miller famously hit 7 3-pointers in the clinching Game 5 while barely being able to walk. These glue guys provided the support that LeBron never had in his first stint in Cleveland. Their performance proved that even a big 3 needed a reliable other 4 to win at the highest level. Harden's struggle. The finals were a nightmare for James Harden, the reigning 6th man of the year who struggled to find his rhythm against Miami's physical defense. After stellar Western Conference Finals performances, Harden's shooting numbers plummeted, and he looked hesitant on the world's biggest stage. This struggle became a major talking point in the following offseason, when the Thunder front office hesitated to give him a max contract. His performance in these 5 games arguably changed the course of NBA history, leading to the trade that sent him to Houston, the Coronation. Game 5 was a blowout, and as the final seconds ticked off the clock, the cameras caught a side of LeBron James we had never seen. Pure, unadulterated joy. He was jumping on the sidelines, hugging his teammates, and finally letting the weight of the world off his shoulders. He finished the game with a triple-double, 26 points, 11 rebounds, and 13 assists, earning the finals MVP unanimously. The narrative of LeBron can't win the big one was dead. He had reached the mountaintop the hard way, and the NBA was officially his league. The Bobcats' futility. On the opposite end of the spectrum, the 2011-2012 Charlotte Bobcats finished with the worst winning percentage in NBA history. They won only 7 games all year, finishing with a 7-59 record after losing their final 23 games in a row. It was a season of historic incompetence that led to the team rebranding back to the Hornets years later to wash away the state. While the Heat were celebrating a title, the Bobcats were a sobering reminder of how much the lockout and the sprint could break a struggling franchise. The legacy of 2012. The 2011-2012 season was a bridge between the old NBA and the modern era of positionless basketball and super teams. It saw the end of the Celtics' Big Three, the rise and fracture of the Oklahoma City core, and the beginning of LeBron James' reign as a multiple-time champion. We saw the league survive a lockout, only to be treated to Linsanity, the tragedy of Derrick Rose, and the coronation of a king. It was a year defined by the villain, but ended with the realization that in sports, winning is the only thing that changes the story. 2012 wasn't just a season. It was a 66-game heart attack that gave us everything we love about the NBA. From the veto to the ring, it was about time.